Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it's been a while since we've last done a polling map. It's important that we analyze the recent polls state by state and see what has exactly changed, because it is true that Donald Trump is leading nationwide. Biden has gone up by about a point, but Trump still leads by 1.1% in the RCP average, and that is true. But the election is not decided by the popular vote. It's decided by the Electoral College, and you have to win a certain amount of states to get enough points that add up to 270 electoral votes. If you get to 270, you win. If you get to 269, the presidency goes to the House, where they vote by state delegations, and the vice presidency is decided by the Senate. So Trump would likely win if it was a tie, but the map as of right now doesn't really seem to be all that plausible for one. But nevertheless, it's important that we fill this map out. We're going to go by alphabetical order and analyze the polls, but also for states where there's a lot of polls, we're going to use the RCP average into determining the results there. So here we go. Alabama, deep red state, no questions about it. Trump will win it by more than 10. Safe red. Alaska, the polls also had him up by over 10 points. Then you have the state of Arizona, which has an aggregate, but Donald Trump surprisingly doing extraordinarily well in Arizona. He leads the polls by 4.5 percentage points, which means the state would go in the lean Republican column there. So the next state up here is going to end up being the state of Arkansas. Easy victory for Donald Trump there. And then California, Biden will win that by more than 10, so he gets his first electoral vote dump in there. And then we can go to the state of Colorado, where the recent polls show Trump trailing Biden, but by less than 10 on average. So Colorado would be likely Dem. And then we go to Florida, where Donald Trump has led a lot of the recent polls by 5 to 10 points, which means Florida will be likely red, a big prize for Donald Trump there. Up next, you have the state of Georgia, where we have an aggregate for the state, and Donald Trump leads by 3.8 percentage points, a little bit lower than the last time we did this map because some very pro-Trump polls fell out of the aggregate. The Wall Street Journal poll, which has Trump and Biden both fairly low, came into the average. So Georgia will be lean Republican. Then we have the state of Illinois here, where Biden in the last poll was leading by 9. The previous poll, he was up by 20. So we'll make Illinois safe blue, even though the margins will likely be closer than 2020. And then you have the state of Iowa, where Trump is up in the average by more than 10 percentage points. And then we have Kansas, where Trump is leading by more than 10 there as well. And for the states that do not have any polling data on hand, we will eventually come back at the end of the video and just fill them out by their 2020 designation. So Louisiana, Trump is up by a safe margin there in the state. He's also up in Maine, which is absolutely insane that he is, but the most recent poll has him up by a likely margin. The previous poll has a virtually tied race. Maine has got a mind of its own. I still think at the end of the day, Donald Trump probably falls short in it, but the polls are showing that Maine at large would be lean Republican. That would mean the 2nd district would be safe Republican. The 1st district, probably safe Democrat by a hair. So up next, we have the state, or actually we have polling by congressional district, and that's basically what it is showing. So Maryland, Trump will lose by a safe margin to Biden. It's a very Democrat state, and that we know. Massachusetts, this is a state that Biden is going to win by more than 10. And by the way, I'm not doing the polls in this video that have RFK Jr. in the mix. We might do another video like that later this month, though, but this is just a head-to-head. And Michigan, Trump is up in the aggregate by 2.8 percentage points. So he's going to take Michigan in the lean column already. So that's a big prize for him there, especially because it's a decisive swing state. Minnesota, Biden up by a lean margin, lower than his 2020 margins. He could have some problems with those third-party candidates in the mix. Mississippi and Missouri are both safe red along with Montana, so we could fill those 3 states out right here. And then we go to Nevada, where we have an aggregate for the state, and Donald Trump leads by a lean margin in the state of Nevada, which puts him at 139. And then we have the state of New Hampshire, where Biden is leading the average by a likely margin. And again, it's unlikely you see New Hampshire and Maine split at that level at the end of the day, but we're just filling out the polling map here. And then we have New Mexico, where Biden leads by a likely margin as well, 5 to 10 points. New York, this is a state where we've only really had one polling firm in the mix, and it shows Biden leading, but only by 12. So while Biden likely wins New York, Trump could see sizable gains in the state when it's all said and done. We have an aggregate for North Carolina, where Donald Trump leads the average by nearly 5 percentage points. So we could fill that out right there, 155 for Donald Trump. Ohio, he leads by more than 10. That makes its way into the safe column. And then we can go to the state of Oklahoma, where he leads by a safe margin, and then Oregon, where Biden leads by a safe margin there. And then we can go to the state of Pennsylvania. Odd polling in terms of the aggregate, because you have a bunch of polls with Trump up by a few, and then you have some outlier in there, Biden by 10. This is tilt Biden technically, but if you remove that outlier, Donald Trump would have like a tilt to lean margin of victory in the state in the polls. So up next, we have the state of Rhode Island, where Biden leads by a safe margin, but we also have South Carolina, where Trump is leading by a safe margin. So Trump is at 188 so far, Biden's at 183. It's a horse race when we're going by alphabetical order, but Trump is up in both South Dakota and the state of Tennessee. So that will put him over 200. Then you have Texas, where he's leading in the average by a likely margin. The last poll from Marist, which is the left-leaning pollster, it has him up by 11 points. I think he's going to take it by a likely margin at the end of the day, and that's what the polls are showing, closer to his 2016 margin than his 2020 margin. Then you have Utah, where Trump leads by 10 percentage points there. Virginia, Biden leads by just a lean margin in the polls, closer to 2016 than 2020 in the state. And then we go to Washington, where Biden leads by a safe margin. Up next, we have Wisconsin, where if we go to our Wisconsin aggregate here, Donald Trump leads by 0.6%, which would put Wisconsin in the tilt Republican column. And that is it. We don't have polling out of Wyoming, so we're going to fill out the rest of these states the way that they're going to go. All of these will be safe red. There's really no doubt about it. Indiana, you have Kentucky, you have West Virginia. A poll did come out of New Jersey that had Biden up by just 7, so we will move that to the likely column. I'm not sure why it wasn't on Wikipedia. We have Hawaii, D.C., Delaware, Connecticut, Vermont in the safe column, and this district will keep it as likely D just because we don't have any polls to go off of, so we'll give Biden his 2020 margin. So I don't believe a lot has changed. Some of the margins have changed, but Trump would still lead, if the polls are accurate, 295 to 243 over Joe Biden. Now, keep in mind, polling in both 2016 and 2020 has vastly underestimated Donald Trump. So it would take them overestimating him, which would be a rapid, massive change of pace for Joe Biden to win the election when it's all said and done. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we've got a long way to go, but it's currently April 5th, 2024. The election's going to be taking place on November 5th, 2024. So we have just 7 months to go. We have 5.5 months before early voting starts. So the election season is underway. The conventions are going to be happening in 3 to 4 months. There's not really a lot that's going to be taking place over the next few months, but we'll see what happens post both conventions, what the polls say then, because they'll probably give us a little bit of a better picture about the state of the race. But as of right now, you would clearly rather be Donald Trump than Joe Biden whose approval rating is still vastly in the gutter, and approval rating has been like the #1 indicator for the popular vote that a sitting president gets when they're up for re-election. And when people are asked Donald Trump's approval rating in retrospect for how he did as president, it's in the positive. So that's what this election is likely going to come down to. Trump is the favorite, but still, it's not over. We got a long way to go. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.